Hi, I'm Levi Richards with Kalmbach Feeds and Formula Champion Show Feeds, and we're actually live in my home show barn today just to kind of go through some new and existing products in Formula Champion, specifically in the show lamb and show goat division. So we're going to go through a lot of things in just a short amount of time, but let's jump right in. So first I'm going to show you, these are our new product guides, which are really cool and packed with information. So make sure you get a hold of your local retailer or distributor and get a hold of one of these bad boys, because there's a lot of cool information in here. Just to jump right in, when we talk about our lamb feed section and what we have to offer, there's really three main textured feeds and one pelleted feed. The pelleted feed is going to be more your starter developer, more like a creep feed, and then we kind of get into our textured feeds. My favorite feed is actually our Power Takeoff. I feed a lot of this one, and I have a lot of great results on this one. I actually have a lot of customers that I turn over from competing show feed lines, and they say, wow, this is so great, I can't believe how good it works, and that we haven't used it before. But what we did when we designed Power Takeoff was try to get something that was textured and was able to feed these lambs to get them bloomier and just to kind of take off at a younger age, making them ideal for online sales, for like spring live sales, and for jackpot season. That's exactly what we've done with them. Actually, this lamb right over here to my left is on Power Takeoff still. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Then we also have one called X Factor. This is a barley-based show lamb feed, which is a little bit unique, but the barley is going to put a more smooth, firm, and more uniform layer of finish on them, allowing them to handle a bit more firm, which is really important, and still stay a little bit more athletic and trim in their build and appearance while being finished. And that's kind of a hard thing to kind of accomplish, but this X Factor feed does it extremely, extremely well. The one that we've had the longest is our Show Star. This is a textured feed. We've had it for a long time, and we've just kind of updated it through the times as the industry changes just a little bit. But this is a super fortified feed. If you do not want to use top dresses at all, and you just want one feed to use, kind of start to finish, Show Star is what you want to use. It's a great, great feed, and we've had a lot of great results with it. So as we get into our goat line, like I said, we're going to move quickly through this, but our goat line is kind of newer to us this year. We have a couple new products. It was important to us to really stay current with the industry trends and what you guys wanted to be able to use as feeds on your show goats. So we actually designed two brand new goat feeds this year, both of them being textured, and they've really brought us a lot of great results already. First of all, we still have the Game Plan Starter, which is a pelleted feed, which you can use from start to finish if you wanted to. It's very complete and medicated with Decox, but great to take them all the way to the end or just to get them started like on a creep type diet. Now, one of the new ones is called GTO Turbo. This is going to be comparable to our Power Takeoff within our show lamb line. And, so many of these show goat customers were starting to use our lamb feeds. We wanted to kind of really bring out the best of them and apply them to the goat world, and that's how we came out with this GTO Turbo. Kind of one of the great ingredients is a roasted soybean, which is really unique because it's a protein and fat source at the same time, which is not very common within a lot of ingredients. So it works extremely well on your younger goats that you need to get them to bloom just a little bit earlier. If we're going to jackpot or have some kind of sale, this is a great way to kind of get them ready at a younger age. You can feed them up to about 60 pounds, or if you really need to push one, you can feed them all the way on GTO Turbo. To wrap up the goat section, we have the Show Goat Challenger. This is, again, a new one for this year. It's barley-based, similar to the X Factor in the show lamb line. This is going to put a more smooth, firm, and uniform layer of finish on them versus, say, like a corn-based diet, which is going to put a little bit more patchy type of finish on them that handles just a bit more soft. So some awesome complete feeds, both pelleted and textured within both lines, available to you through any Formula of Champions retailer. So make sure you get on formulaofchampions.com. You can look at some tags and more details on those products if you wish, or you can just go ahead and place your order through your local distributor. Now, I also wanted to talk to you today about some supplements, and this is really important because supplements is how we really dial these animals in and get them ready for the show ring. If we have one we need to really push, or we need to hold, or we need to make them handle differently, that's when our top dresses and supplements really come into play. So I want to talk to you about a couple of the ones that I'm using right now. One of them is called Hard Drive. It is a pelleted top dress, and we designed this to really bring out the utmost muscle expression and definition in their top shape. Especially like in these lambs, you'll really see a difference in the way they handle, and just kind of show through their rack. They'll have a thicker, deeper loin edge in them, and they'll handle a lot more firm. And if they're genetically made and bred to have a groove top, this is going to really put that nice definition and ditch right through their back. You'll really like the way that they handle. After just a few days, you can tell a big difference. So we've really been happy with the results. This has been out for not even quite a year yet. It came out, I believe, towards the end of last June. So really, really happy. And I'll always say, especially this spring through all of my clinics, if you want to be competitive showing lambs or goats, you need to be feeding hard drive. Just second to none. It does such a nice job. So another one that we use a lot of here is our Formula Champions Moonshine. And this is a 98% liquid fat. Okay, it's available in 1 gallon containers or 5 gallon buckets. I have a 5 gallon bucket sitting here, and because it's not real easy to kind of just kind of tell you in a book by words, how to use it, I want to just go ahead and show you. So the way that I use it here is I pour just a little bit into a measuring cup just to kind of have an easier go-to container. And then I have this new Moonshine dropper here that you can measure smaller increments of, because we use very, very little of this to go a long way. 98% fat, liquid, 98% fat is pretty potent, so it doesn't take much to make a big difference. So we go ahead and just pull some out with the syringe. As you can see right now, I'm at about 6 cc's, which I use on my 3-a-day feedings, and it goes a long way helping with weight gain, with overall condition, with just overall bloom. So just to kind of show you, this lamb over here is one that we've jackpotted quite a bit over the last few weekends. And I just noticed at the first show, she was just a bit leaner than the rest. She wasn't skinny. She still had awesome muscle shape. Her rack was just handling really well. She had a great loin in her. We just needed a bit more bloom on this sheep. So I started her on the Moonshine at a really low dose and worked our way up to 6 cc's per feeding 3 times a day. And she's really bloomed a lot and come a long way here over about the last 3 weeks. So it does not take long to really go to work. So Moonshine is great for your sheep and your goats at the low doses. Your cattle and pigs tend to be able to take just a little bit more of it. But I still want you to start at a very low dose and gradually work your way up, because it's, a ruminant is extremely sensitive to oil-based fats. And that's exactly what this is. So it comes in cherry flavored or caramel flavored. This would be the caramel, which I love the smell of, but works extremely well. Another top dress that's actually renewed to us this year is our afterburner. And this would be if we happen to get one maybe just a bit too chunky and we need to burn them back a little bit. The afterburner is going to be great to kind of peel some of that condition back, yet keep their muscle expression and definition at a peak. So be sure to look up afterburner, get some details. And again, it's a quarter to a half pound per head per day on these small animals, and maybe just a tiny bit more if you need to on a bigger animal. But again, a very low dose that's very effective, allowing you to be able to keep control and a lot of versatility in products within a small ration. You don't have to feed too much of any of these things. So before I go, I do just want to kind of show you, because just to really demonstrate how we use these feeds here, this is our feeding chart and how we feed each one per day. So just look at this first lamb. This happens to be the one over here on the stand. She's getting 1.25 pounds of power takeoff 3 times a day with 6 cc's of the liquid fat Moonshine per feeding. All right, so the power takeoff is because she's a little bit younger, a little bit smaller, and we're still wanting her to bloom and continue to grow. The 6 cc's for Moonshine is just for additional bloom and condition for the show ring. It's worked extremely well on this. She's been on this exact regimen of 3 times a day for about 3 weeks now. So it's worked extremely well for us. We'll go on down here. Actually, we'll scoot over here to our Dorset, staying in the lambs. Now the Dorset got a little bit fat on us. I don't think we were quite ready for the afterburner yet, but we wanted to make sure that she wasn't going to get any chunkier for her age and her size. It was important to kind of really keep her fresh. Kind of a common thing we see among Dorsets and some white-faced breeds. So we switched her to the X Factor just to kind of keep that bloom and freshness without putting too much on her. She's getting 1.5 pounds of it with 1/4 pound of hard drive for additional just expression and definition in her top 2 times a day. All right, so this is working really well to keep her fresh for the show ring, yet keep her really firm to the touch and really put that groove in her top and keep her really expressive and defined in her muscle shape. So really good, different ways of doing things here, but still keeping these lambs looking their best. All right, now down here at the bottom, you'll see a couple goats. We'll start over here. Actually, this is a goat that we haven't shown yet. He's on a pound of the Show Goat Challenger, the barley-based ration. He started getting a little bit heavy a little bit soon. He wasn't fat, but he was just gaining weight really quickly, as a lot of our animals tend to do, because these feeds are so well fortified, the animals really seem to take off well on them. So he's on only a pound of the Challenger and a quarter pound of the hard drive, just to keep that expression up here through his rack and through his loin. He's really firm and just ultra defined. So a great product and a great combination of two different feeds to really keep him at a peak. The one behind me is actually this goat over here. He's getting a pound and a quarter of the GTO Turbo, which, because he's a little bit light, we want to push this one a little bit harder. We're adding some hard drive for that muscle expression and just to keep him handling really nice and firm. We're also giving him 5 cc's of Moonshine, not for the bloom, but for the additional weight gain, and it's working really well. That goat's actually gaining over 0.7 a day, which is pretty high on the goat scale. So just kind of what we're doing and how it's working here in our barn. Another thing that I'm a big believer in is giving just a handful of a nice rich alfalfa hay per feeding. And everybody does it a little bit differently on the hay, but that's just what works for us. It seems like a nice coarse stem or richer hay just tends to scratch that gut and keep that appetite working and keeping them going back to the feed every single time. So it's been a great tool for us since we've started doing that. So with no further ado, if you have any other questions, please find us on Facebook at Formula of Champions, or find the Ask the Experts page on formulaofchampions.com, or get a hold of us at our office. However you choose to get a hold of us, the only stupid question is the one that's not asked. So please get a hold of us and let us help you with anything we can do for you. I'm Levi Richards with Formula of Champions. Thank you so much for tuning in today.